Hello everyone, and welcome to today's Quality Leaders Keynote presentation. We will get started in just a few moments, but first I would like to go over some information. A quick reminder of some of the benefits that come with your annual subscription to qualityexecs.org. If you're ever unable to attend live, we do record and upload those to review whenever it's convenient for you. The second one is that you get to know other members. Log in to see profiles, and we're glad to make any introductions. If you're wrestling with key issues or decisions, we strongly encourage you to reach out to the other members. It's very easy to post questions, and our community of fellow professionals is always happy to help. After each meeting, we generate summaries and takeaways and learning nuggets, so you can easily reference them and put them into action. If at any time you have a question, please click anywhere on the slide and post them. We will be glad to ask at the end of the presentation to our guest. And now let's meet her. We have today Jo Notz with us. She's the CFO of Assurance and Practice in Assurance Practice and Financial Controls for PwC. She's going to be present on quality and service organizations. Jo, we're so glad you're here. Please give us a little introduction of yourself and take away. The mic is yours.
Thank you so much, and thanks to all of you for joining today. Good afternoon, probably to many, and good morning to some of you that might be on the West Coast. I'm actually absolutely thrilled to be here today. When they reached out and asked me to present, I kind of took a step back and said, are you really sure? I'm a finance professional and I don't really have a quality role. And clearly was encouraged that this team and this group of professionals likes a variety of perspectives. So that gave me a little bit to kind of reflect on my role and just how much quality plays a role in it. I realized, how much quality is actually embedded in my everyday professional career and driving decisions that I have to make. There's actually a quote I really love that goes something like this: with integrity, nothing else matters. And without integrity, nothing else matters. And in many ways, I think that applies to quality. It's essentially table stakes in so much that we do. And I live it day to day. So just a little bit at the end of our time together today, it's my goal that everyone has gained a little bit of a new perspective on the following three things. One is how quality applies to service organizations, with a little bit of a drill down at PricewaterhouseCoopers. Secondly, what is the responsibility of the finance team as it relates to quality? And lastly is, as we've evolved in terms of back office functions, finance and other, there's been a lot of transformation in leveraging different talent pools, different service providers and offshore locations. And I wanted to chat a little bit about our experience in ensuring quality as kind of the labor pool and teams that we leverage has changed. So that's kind of the background of the presentation. I did think it would be good before we dove too deep into the topic that it might be helpful to give you some of my personal and professional background. And then I'll talk a little bit about what PwC is and what we do as a company. So as you can see on the left-hand side, kind of who I am. I'm a Florida native from about the Tampa Bay area, lived in Pinellas County all my life. I actually live a couple miles from my parents and my in-laws. You can see I am married to my high school sweetheart. We have three children, an oldest daughter, a youngest daughter, and a son. So I'm also known as a dance mom and a baseball mom. I'm sure many of you can relate to that as well. And I love my Peloton. I love to read, and I'd love to be a golfer. I'm terrible on the golf course, but I enjoy getting out there, especially in Florida. In terms of education, I have my undergrad degree in finance and corporate risk management from the University of Florida. So a little shout out to our Gators out there. I went back and got my MBA from University of South Florida, so go Bulls. And then went back and got my master's in accounting and later my CPA license as well. And if you're in Florida and you're a Florida fan, I'll just say that my dad and brother both graduated from FSU, so go Noles. We have most of the public universities covered in Florida. Just want to make sure I don't create any enemies based on my college alliances, if you will. So that's a little bit about me. In terms of my background and experience, like I mentioned, there's been elements of quality that have been woven through just about every single role I've played in my years as a professional. The first 5 years of my career, I actually spent in an IT capacity. I did development work and spent a couple of years in quality assurance roles and testing roles. And then the last 20 years, I've spent in a variety of finance roles. And currently, I'm actually the firm controller for U.S. and Mexico practice. And I guess what I would say is as I prepped for this, again, I really realized that while quality is not in my title necessarily, as controller for all intent and purposes, it really translates to I have responsibility for quality control over the finance function and firm financial statements. So this was a great exercise in preparation for this discussion today. Can you flip to the next slide, please? So I wanted to spend just a few minutes to give everyone a background if you're not familiar with PwC or PricewaterhouseCoopers, who we are and what we do. So we're also known as one of the big four accounting firms. We are a global network of member firms, so not truly a global company necessary, but we're woven together through a global set of standards, which include quality standards applied to our services. We're a professional services company, so we provide audit and attest services, tax services, consulting services, and there's a lot of details under each one of those, but to a wide array of clients, which include, anywhere from honestly small family-owned businesses or individuals that need, high wealth individuals that need tax advice, all the way up to very significant large public companies where we perform their audits. We've got about 300,000 employees across 156 countries worldwide, and have about 45 billion in gross revenues annually across the globe. In the US, we're closer to about 55,000 employees and roughly 20 billion in revenue. And that's where my scope of responsibility is, primarily with our US and Mexico practice. So we're about 40% of our total gross revenues, just to give you a little bit of a lens on PwC. The thing I wanted to call attention to, interestingly, is like when you look at PwC and you see it as a services company, quality, like I said, is interwoven across everything we do. In preparation, again, for giving this keynote speech today, I went to just our simple website that's, our publicly available website. And without, scrolling one down, we definitely publicize that we have $1 billion investment in technology to drive audit quality. And then you scroll a little bit further in some of our marketing material, you see the headline that delivering quality services across all our businesses is a key headline, followed by our commitment that delivering high quality work is actually at the heart of everything we do at PwC. We really live and breathe quality day in and day out. And it comes in multiple ways. So quality is important because we have to comply with regulations and our regulators as it relates to auditing public companies, but that's not necessarily sufficient. We also strive, and our reputation is built on delivering quality outcomes and building trust with all of our clients. So it was a very interesting exercise for me in terms of actually how rampant quality and the foundation of quality is as it relates to the services that we provide to our clients. So like I kind of mentioned in the beginning, without quality, nothing really else matters. And if you look at the left-hand side, we have a really strong focus on quality, and it's built on a foundation of standardized and consistent processes. And we have to have those in place kind of for the bare minimum to make sure that we adhere to the requirements of regulatory bodies like the SEC and the PCAOB that have oversight. They monitor and they actually report on the level of quality that we deliver to our public audit clients. And honestly, they look at anybody that's a public company auditor. We actually produce an annual audit quality report that everyone can see what our quality credentials are in terms of delivering the audit. So our programs are never one size fits all. And before I became the controller, which is a recent change, I've only been in this role for about 6 months. Like they mentioned at the beginning, I was the CFO of our audit practice. So I was able to see firsthand the importance and complexity of quality controls on services as it relates to our audit. And the stakes are really high. The cost of a quality issue is very severe as it relates to an audit. Ultimately, it can result in a restatement of financial statements, which comes with high economic consequences for companies and their shareholders. So we do not take quality lightly. Clearly, having well-defined standardized processes is the baseline to ensuring quality and consistency. And then I would just say, we all know that quality programs are multidimensional, multiple control points. We start, like most of you probably as well, at the highest level. So tone at the top is absolutely crucial as it relates to our culture around quality. And as I mentioned earlier, you can see that coming through just, in our website. Everything we do and every communication we have includes a mention of quality and the importance of quality. And if you're interested, you can actually go out onto our website. You can look at our global annual report, and as you read through that, you'll see just how clear quality comes out as a key value of ours as a company. So we have a variety of those enterprise-wide quality programs, some that span our practice globally. So the network of a member of a network of global companies, we all have to adhere to the same standards. And then we also have quality programs in place that are specific to the US. So it starts at the tone at the top, all the way down to quality at our individual engagement level with each of our clients. And we enforce that level of quality through common methodologies, standardized processes, and clearly a measurement program. So constantly measuring the quality by performing reviews, doing a lot of sampling, and then performing those reviews. And then based on the output of that, doing some iterative quality planning so that the next cycle we can improve if we find any systemic quality issues. I'm not quite yet ready. Can you go back one more slide? Thank you. So regulators actually reinforce that quality assurance. So not only are we doing it ourselves internally, but the PCAOB actually for public company auditors, they do an annual review as well. They do a sampling of some of our public company audits. They do that for a number of anybody that does public company audits. They will go and review those results. So we have a high degree of quality just as it relates to our business. So I wanted to pivot a little bit to the right side of the slide and quality as it relates to the support functions. So, and I think this applies to any company with support functions. You think like finance, you think about human capital, you think about marketing and sales, and quality is clearly an important element of each one of those services and ensuring that we have the appropriate quality planning and quality control so that those processes are effective and accurate. Some of the key things that we look at to ensure that we do produce quality results in those services in our back office functions are the following. So clarity of scope for each function is really critical, ensuring there's no miscommunication as to who owns handoffs and ultimately the quality of service for specific actions, if you will. One thing that comes to my mind is really around payroll services. I think we can all relate to that. We all want an accurate paycheck. At PwC, payroll, the function of payroll sits in finance, but the servicing of our resources and helping them resolve issues sits in human capital. So there's actually a lot of interplay between finance and human capital as it relates to the payroll service. So collectively, as a support function, we've had to come together and really understand that our end customer really care if the error was caused by finance or was caused by human capital. They expect, and rightfully so, a quality payroll service, which requires human capital and finance to really work together, and integration points are across those two functions. We're constantly evaluating all of our processes to ensure we have a full inventory, that the documentation is fresh, everyone understands it clearly. We also understand where the risk and the control points are to make sure that those are operating effectively. And the way that we measure in our function, specifically the level of quality that's coming out of finance, some of it's happening by just our self-monitoring and tracking the errors that we identify ourselves and within our teams, and other labor sources that we use that might not be employees of PwC, but they support the finance function. We also leverage the tickets that are called into our help desk to understand where we might have some sort of elevated issue, and we use that as a means to measure the level of quality that we have going on in our finance function. Can you flip to the next slide now, please? Great. So now I wanted to just double click on finance for a few minutes. So the finance function's responsible for the custody and application of all incoming cash, as well as disbursements. So it's a fairly significant responsibility. At PwC, we're transacting in billions of dollars on a monthly basis. And as you can imagine, without effective and quality process, there's a high risk of mistakes, not to mention, risk of misappropriation or fraud, as well as violation of laws. So again, we talked a little bit about the regulatory nature and how quality plays a role in that in terms of the services at PwC that are delivered to our clients. But we also have responsibilities in terms of, the back office function. One example, for some of you, you may know this, but all U.S. entities have to comply with the Office of Foreign Asset Controls, ensuring that we're not making payments to embargoed countries or entities, individuals that may be on the terrorist watch list. And that's absolutely not possible without well-designed processes and quality controls over our disbursement and receipt of cash. Some of that we're able to automate, but quality plays a role across the board, just in terms of protecting your business, as well as ensuring you're complying with the law in the finance function. I would say the second on the list around quality is really around master data. And when I say master data, the way we think about it in finance and specifically at PwC are those key attributes that are kind of crucial and the linchpins that connect all our data together. So I think of things like our clients, their official name, their official Dun & Bradstreet number, their actual address. Also think of our suppliers. Do we have their right banking information so that we can we can pay them via electronic payment and get to the right bank account? And the same with our people, making sure that we have their right social security numbers and we have their right banking information so we can appropriately pay them. So in my mind, there's actually, two elements around the quality on the master data, and that's ensuring that those transactions can be executed efficiently and correctly, like I mentioned. Another example is if we had an incorrect billing address for a client, they might not get an invoice, which would delay receipt of cash. So lots of instances where data quality is crucial in the finance function. The other element of data quality that we rely on is really around data and analytics on the customers, the clients, the portfolio of work we're selling. So we are the auditors of Bank of America. We perform a variety of services for them. If we didn't have quality control over making sure that Bank of America is only set up once as a client in our system and has all the right attributes, we would struggle to see what the whole portfolio of people that are working on Bank of America, what are they doing? What are they providing? What is our sales? Are we paying Bank of America everything? And then we wouldn't be able to provide a cohesive front and work with our client effectively. They would be, we'd be coming at them with different information. So really two ways to look at the importance of quality as it relates to master data. And then while I'll say this is last on the list, but certainly not the least, when there's no quality, and we've been at this place before in the finance function, or quite honestly, any function, you begin to lose trust and credibility from all your business partners. So it kind of goes back to the quote I mentioned in the beginning. Without quality, really nothing else matters because people aren't going to come to you. They're not going to trust you to do the work. So I wanted to spend a minute and shift to the right-hand side of the slide. I keep double-clicking a little bit further and further into the finance function. And this is where I feel like I hold the most personal responsibility as the controller of the firm. Like I mentioned, we're nearly 20 billion in revenue, 55,000 employees. We are a private company, so we don't have a regulator overseeing our financial statements, but we do have shareholders. We're a partnership, and I have the responsibility to ensure that our internal controls or our quality controls over financial reporting are designed and executed effectively to ensure that there's not material misstatements in our quarterly and annual financial statements. So consistent with any quality program that we've all been a part of, it is cost prohibitive to apply, some extensive quality control. If we were to redo every single transaction, it becomes cost prohibitive. So our approach to internal controls over financial reporting, or ICFR, is really a risk-based approach to understand which controls are most critical. And we leverage an annual quality planning cycle. And so we take and evaluate our processes, those with the highest potential risk of leading to a materials misstatement, identify those, and then throughout the years, we use sampling to test those transactions and make sure that the controls around them were executed properly. That's what gives us comfort that our financial statements are quality and they're not materially misstated. So I actually am required to attest to the quality of our internal controls by signing a management representation letter every year when we release our financial statements. So I'm basically signing off on the quality of our financial statements. At public companies, knowingly signing a management representation letter where there is knowledge of insufficient controls or quality actually can result in civil and criminal liability. So there is absolutely no doubt how much and how important quality is as it relates to the finance function and financial statements in general. Can you go to the next slide? The last topic I wanted to cover, and probably the most impactful to quality in our finance function over the years since I've been a part of it, is our transformation to using different labor sources. Now, traditionally, when I first started working in our finance function, we had 500 or 600 people that were all in Tampa. Everyone came into the office every day. You could walk the floors, you could touch, you could see. Not a whole lot of miscommunication that was going on. But over the last 15 years or so, we have migrated to offshoring some of our financial processes to third parties, so not PwC employees necessarily. And we've also done some outsourcing or offshoring to some centers that are actually wholly owned by PwC. So PwC employees, but geographically dispersed, honestly, across the world. So it's certainly come with challenges, but the one thing I wanted to reinforce that it is possible to achieve success. But there's a few things that we consider as keys to our success and keep us honest as we continue to leverage alternative labor sources and extend our reach in terms of getting the best talent across the globe to support our finance function. So the first one is really establishing upfront that the culture of quality is important. I think making sure that whoever is joining the team, whether they're onshore, in your office, or anywhere in the world, just reinforcing how important quality is to the organization goes a long way. Documentation, so that's simple, clear, very easy to understand, certainly serves as a great baseline and a reference point. It allows, folks something to go back to if they have a question and really see it on a piece of paper. We found that has served us well. The third thing is establishing expectations for the resources supporting the function, but also understanding their expectations and what they need in order to be successful to deliver high quality work. So I think it's a bidirectional expectation setting exercise, and really understanding what their constraints are and what have you, and having an open dialogue around that. The next bullet we have is really that we found that complete integration, so ensuring that the team still operates as a team. We're not, quote unquote, throwing work over the fence, if you will, and regular communication amplifies the success of this resourcing model. So it definitely provides a level of loyalty, and that communication also helps provide some context. And what I found, I know it's true for me, if I have context around what I'm doing, I have a better understanding, and in all likelihood, it's easier for me to either spot mistakes or ensure that I have a level of quality when I'm delivering my work. And then no different than some of the other points I have made earlier, clearly measurement, review, and feedback all serve as really good mechanisms to ensure that, quality exists and making corrections where necessary. Then I would say last but not least is investing in the relationships. So on-site visits from a variety of levels and roles across the team is mutually beneficial. So we've spent a lot of, I would say, time and money over the years, making sure that a variety of really influential change agents, who's on your team, that can influence and motivate others, making sure that they have opportunities to visit other sites and vice versa, to build relationships, build some humanity across the teams. It really instills a level of confidence in all the team members and breaks down a lot of assumptions that were a hindrance to quality. It took us a little while to get there, but it's definitely proven very fruitful. Kind of breaks down that tendency, out of sight, out of mind can cause some challenges. So site visits I've found are very helpful as well. So that is the meat of what I really wanted to share with this team today. As we wrap up, it's my hope that everyone got a little bit more perspective on how quality applies to a service organization like PwC, what the responsibility is of the finance team and how it relates to quality. And then lastly, what I just walked through is just how to ensure quality as the delivery of finance and other back office functions are now supported from a variety of locations and combinations of service providers. So it's been an absolute honor to have this opportunity to participate today, and certainly a pleasure to share my experience as it relates to quality. And I'm happy to take any questions that might have come through the chat.
Jill, thank you so much for this super informative and wonderful presentation. We have received a few questions during the presentation, and you might have touched upon some of them, but I'm going to ask them anyways, just in case you would like to add something. The first question was, what kind of cross-department quality training does PwC provide?
So we primarily, the quality training that cross-department, we don't have a ton. If the question's related to quality training across, say, like the finance function and the human capital function, I would say our primary training as it relates to quality leans back into a control environment. So, in finance terms, our internal controls equate to the quality control measurements that we have to ensure that we're executing on a quality basis. So that's what we lean to primarily in the finance function. However, quality, I think I mentioned this throughout the presentation a little bit. One of the ways that we obviously measure our quality is kind of feedback from our customers, whether that comes through surveys or it comes through tickets. So it's a little bit of an indirect way, but that is, where we also provide training in terms of analysis and understanding of what the output and the feedback we're getting from our customers are. And then we do a lot of process redesign. So we have instilled Six Sigma and Kaizen is two different options. We've provided training around that to go evaluate processes and re-engineer them, ensuring quality along the way.
Thank you. That actually brings us to the next question, which is what tools do you use for document and data control for both compliance and quality?
So we are actually, I can speak more closely to what we're using in finance. We are using in terms of, so if we think of our baseline as our internal controls as what serves as our quality control in finance, we have been on the Google collaboration platform and we've been leveraging that for a few years. We are currently migrating to ServiceNow. It's also known as Snow. There's modules that allow us to house and create and workflow all of our quality controls and our testing around internal controls. So that's what we're using in terms of tools. There's also some automated tools that we use. And we could have a long conversation, I think, around this. I would say a lot of it's around, if I wanted to kind of make it pretty vanilla, we leverage different types of reporting tools like a ThoughtSpot. We have a proprietary tool called Enterprise Insights, which we sell to clients, which basically consumes data, and then it looks for anomalies in the data, anomalies basically equating to errors in quality. So we use some of those tools as well.
Thank you so much. You mentioned that quality is not just a very important ingredient in your company, but it's basically a legal issue. But for companies that the quality department is not seen and is not put on such a high priority, how can quality leaders explain the value and mission of the quality department to executives, especially when pushing for a quality culture that spans the organization? What's your advice? How's that possible?
So my personal opinion is that, and this is coming from a finance person, is always presenting it in terms of ROI or return on the investment. So when you invest in quality, what is the outcome that the executive is going to receive? Is it increased retention? Is it, higher sales? Is it more customers? What is the return on the investment in quality? And being able to articulate that in a clear way goes a long way. I actually use that technique almost for anything that I'm pitching, whether it be quality or something else. Like if I want to go do something, what's actually the return on that for the person that's going to have to fund it or pay for it? So that would be my recommendation.
Thank you so much. And I think those were all the questions for now. I do want to give you the opportunity to kind of wrap up your wonderful presentation and give us some kind of final words of advice or wisdom that you would leave us with today.
Awesome. So yeah, again, I will just say this was an honor. It was actually a great opportunity for me to really reflect on the impact and importance of quality that I actually live day to day in my role. I'm not just a finance professional, but I'm actually a quality professional. So I thank you guys and the Quality Association for help bringing that kind of light in my own thinking. I hope you guys got a little bit of a perspective on how this applies to services, maybe a different lens as it relates, quality as it relates to kind of the back office functions. And I'm happy, if you reach out or have questions or want to chat, certainly I'm happy to do so. So thank you guys. I hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you, Jill. It was an honor to have you today. And for all of our audience, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. Don't forget to check out our website in a few days if you would like to listen to this or any of our previous discussions. Hope to hear from you next month, and thank you so much again.